Echoes of Wisdom, where your spiritual journey begins.
Welcome to Echoes of Wisdom. I am glad you are here. In this episode, we journey into the hidden chambers of French mysticism, world of secret lodges, sacred symbols, and the quiet search for divine truth. This is the story of Martinism, a spiritual brotherhood born in the Age of Enlightenment, woven from the visions of Martinez de Pasqually, the gentle wisdom of Louis-Claude de Saint-Martin, and the symbolic craft of Jean-Baptiste Willermoz. We will uncover how their teachings shaped the inner soul of Freemasonry, inspired mystics across Europe, and even touched the shadowed world of Napoleon Bonaparte. Prepare to step beyond history into a realm where light and silence meet, and the soul remembers its divine origin. This is Echoes of Wisdom.
There are two histories of France, one written in the ink of revolutions and crowns, and another, invisible, written in the light of the soul, in salons and secret chambers, beyond the reach of kings and priests. A quiet brotherhood sought to restore a forgotten truth, that man, fallen from divine unity, could through knowledge, will, and love return to the source from which he came. This was the heart of Martinism, a mystical philosophy born from the Enlightenment's shadow, a light for those who sought wisdom not in the sciences of men, but in the science of God. It began with Martinez de Pasqually, a man of mystery, whose life was as veiled as his teachings. He appeared in Bordeaux around the 1750. A wanderer, a mystic, a mason, speaking of angels, emanations, and the lost harmony of the world. Pasqually founded an order unlike any other in Europe, the order of the elect priests of the universe, known as the Coens. It was part of Freemasonry, yet more ancient in aspiration. The Coens did not gather merely to speak of moral virtue. They practiced theurgy, ritual acts of divine magic aimed to reconcile man with celestial intelligences. Pasqually taught that man is a being of light, exiled in matter, cast into this world through the fault of rebellious spirits. This is the doctrine of reintegration, that through purification, prayer, and divine guidance, man could reascend the ladder of worlds and return to his primordial unity with God. His system was hierarchical: apprentices, companions, masters, and elect, each stage representing a movement from ignorance toward illumination. Each symbol, from the triangle to the serpent, pointed toward one eternal truth, that the fall of man could be undone. In 1772, Pasqually sailed to Saint-Domingue, modern Haiti, on mysterious business concerning his inheritance. He would never return. 2 years later, he died there, leaving behind disciples and manuscripts, and the first flame of what would become Martinism. Among Pasqually's most devoted pupils was Louis-Claude de Saint-Martin. Born in 1743, a nobleman and soldier, Saint-Martin possessed both intellect and tenderness of spirit. But where his master saw salvation through ceremony and invocation, Saint-Martin saw another path, a quieter, deeper, more inward way. He withdrew from ritual to seek God in the temple of the heart. Henceforth, he was known as the unknown philosopher. His writings of errors and of truth, the man of desire, the ministry of the Spirit, taught that true initiation is not given by men, but by the divine light itself, when the soul becomes receptive through humility and love. Saint Martin believed that every soul contains the divine word, and that by turning inward, through contemplation, prayer, and purity, one could awaken the original image of God within. No ritual could substitute for this inner work. He wrote, "The heart is the true temple of God, and he who enters there finds illumination without a master." St. Martin's path was one of theosophy, not theurgy, a philosophy of divine wisdom rooted in Christian mysticism, yet transcending the dogmas of church and order alike. Through him, Martinism evolved from an outer rite into an inner revelation, a bridge between the mysticism of Jacob Boehme, the symbolism of Masonry, and the yearning of the Enlightenment soul. Meanwhile, another disciple of Pasqually, Jean-Baptiste Willermoz, labored in Lyon to weave these teachings into Freemasonry itself. Willermoz was a visionary organizer, and in the labyrinth of European Masonry, he built a temple where Martinist doctrine could endure. At the convent of Wilhelmsbad in 1782, he established the rectified Scottish Rite, a system blending chivalric knighthood with the inner mysteries of reintegration. Its degrees spoke of purification, illumination, and union with the divine word. To Willermoz, the true Mason was not a builder of stone, but a restorer of the fallen temple of humanity. Thus, Martinism entered the bloodstream of esoteric Europe, hidden within Masonic grades, transmitted through secrecy, preserved by those who sought to serve both God and reason. Then came the French Revolution. Temples burned, thrones fell, the mystical societies of France scattered to the wind. Saint Martin wandered through the chaos, preaching inner peace amid the storm. He saw in the revolution both punishment and promise, a purification by fire, through which a higher order might one day emerge. He died in 1803, quietly, as the world turned toward empire. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man whose ambition reached for both earth and heaven. Though not himself a mystic, he was surrounded by men of esoteric persuasion, initiates of Masonic and Martinist circles, who saw in him a potential instrument of divine destiny. His brother Joseph Bonaparte and several generals, including Massena and Bernadotte, were members of lodges inspired by Martinist and Illuminist philosophies. Napoleon's own fascination with fate, symbols, and the invisible world betrayed a hidden sympathy for the esoteric. He consulted mystics, astrologers, and oracles, seeking in their counsel a reflection of his own legend. Some whispered that Napoleon was the new Cyrus, the chosen ruler to restore divine order to the world. Others saw him as the fallen star who sought power In place of light, whatever the truth, Martinism lingered like incense behind the scenes of empire, its vision of divine reintegration whispering through the minds of poets, priests, and philosophers, even as armies crossed Europe in fire. Nearly a century later, the world once again hungered for meaning. Science had conquered matter, but the spirit lay silent. It was then that Gerard Encausse, a physician and occultist known as Papus, revived the sleeping current of Martinism. He gathered the fragments, the Cohen manuscripts, the writings of Saint-Martin, the legacy of Willermoz, and formed the Ordre Martiniste around 1888. Papus believed that humanity was ready once again to walk the path of reintegration. His order offered a graded system of initiation, not to dominate or mystify, but to awaken the spiritual faculties of man. He collaborated with Stanislas de Guaita, Josephin Peladon, and Eliphas Levi, blending Martinist mysticism with a magical revival of fin de siècle France. When the Great War erupted, Papus served as a doctor on the front lines, ministering to the wounded, a Martinist. In the truest sense, a healer of souls. He died in 1916, leaving behind a brotherhood that still exists today, quiet, unassuming, devoted to the restoration of man's divine image. And so, the lineage continues through the Ordre Martiniste, the Martinist order of Papus, the traditional Martinist order, and the Martinist heptads within Amorc. Each branch bears the same living essence, that man, despite his fall, remains a spark of the infinite, and that the path home lies not in conquest, but in consciousness. Saint-Martin's words echo across centuries. Our true birth is not in the flesh, but in the light. Martinism is not a dogma. It is not an order of the past. It is the secret prayer of the human heart, a remembrance that the divine still calls to us from within the silence. From Pasqually's ritual flames, to St. Martin's quiet pen, to Willermoz's symbolic temple, to the dreamers who saw light, even in the shadow of Napoleon. The message has never changed. The world may fall into darkness, but the soul can always return to the light. For this is Martinism, the hidden current of France, the brotherhood of the heart, and the eternal journey of the soul, seeking reunion with the divine source from which it first descended.